What's going on? Welcome, Seattle, to the Jopra Show. Joe Janot live in studio, October 18th, and it's on fire. Fall is back. Fuzzy fuzzies are in the air, and Seahawks Sunday was epic. Welcome to the Jopra Show on 11:50 a.m. Alternative Talk. I'm Joe Janot, and today we are planning to get down with some of the best people you know in the business. I brought the one and the only, my man Matt Vanini from Restaurant Solutions, and we're going to talk about it. If you want to start a restaurant, if you are going to get things going in this world today, this guy is your guy. And we're going to get to him later down the show. But first and foremost, I got to introduce the great one, the producer of the world, Mr. Eric Ryder. Eric, what's happening, baby?
Hey, good afternoon, Joe.
How you doing, my brother?
I'm doing quite well. How about yourself, sir?
Man, good. Eric, I'm still flying high about the Seahawks right now. I mean,
yeah?
They walked up and hit Tom Brady in the mouth, came back down and did the Russell Wilson walk and got me a touchdown.
They're having a good season so far, yeah.
Well, you know, I tell you, people are getting jumped up on. I mean, Matt, he's old school. Lisa's from Detroit, so she's just thinking about the Tigers right now. But excitement is building little by little in the city. Tonight at 5:30 on national television, we're going to strike again and beat the 49ers. So I'm just jacked up. It's football day. I got spaghetti at home. Wife's going to go get a massage, so I got private time. And all you know, fellas, when you got private time.
Just Joe, a big bowl of spaghetti and some
When you
football.
have private time. It's on. But I'm going to go to my friend's house, and she's going to cook some spaghetti, and we're going to chill and drink some wine. So I'm blessed. So, you know, that's how it's going. I'm excited. But, you know, I got a few things I got to bring to the table. I'm a little fired up about a story I read today in the Times. And, Eric, you know how I'm about education. I'm a big proponent. I talk about it a lot. And now they're passing this big construction bill that's going to go down in February, asking for about $1.2 billion to rebuild schools in Seattle. And there's schools. I mean, they were talking about that. There's a school in Harbor Heights in West Seattle that actually floods during the rainy season. And that they have mold
Got to teach
going.
the kids to swim.
Kids are in class. You can see their breasts because it's so cold and the air and the heaters can't work. I'm like, are we really at this point?
That's terrible.
I mean, we got these beautiful cities. We got a Ferris wheel. We got stadiums being built, and kids have to watch out for the water being in the hallways. I mean, what the heck is going on? And they're saying in the report that this school won't be touched for another 6 more years after they pass the bill. And I'm like, whoa.
How can you get away with that?
That's what as a parent.
Exactly.
I'm mad. But they did say a note, and they did say that they are trying to work on some kind of loan to maybe go after the school first. But listen, if I'm going to vote, I'm a homeowner, and I'm going to have to pay another $130 a year. That's what they're quoting, because my house is over $400,000 a year, or $400,000. I got to pay $130. I want you to go over Harbor Heights first. That's my thing. There's no kid that should be going to school in that kind of situation.
No, that's just wrong.
I mean, I've seen schools that look like universities lately. And so we need to have a school in the heart of this city with all this wealth and all these people and all this education that you can't build a school where a kid can have no water in his classroom. That's an outrage. Shame on you, Seattle. So today, folks, I want you to get online. I want you to contact the Seattle superintendent and the city folks. You go to Seattle Times, you can find these people and talk to them. Say, hey, listen, I'm going to vote to pass this bill, but you got to let this happen first at Harbor Heights. Because, for instance, they talked that parents came to see the school who just moved there, and they walked out just going down the entranceway. They saw it and said, no way am I sending my kid to this school. They're saying that people are moving out of that area to go to other schools and overload those schools because Harbor Heights is so down. So, you know, there's something to think about. There's something to think about.
How did they decide which school gets the money first?
Well, I mean, they had a list. There was like about 14 schools, and most of the schools that they were looking at were up north because there's such a high influx of families moving to that area that the schools are overcrowded. And then based on this whole construction, it was to build up, one, the facilities to handle the growth, the influx of people, and also, two, get them up facility-wise, help them with earthquake prevention, and then get them computer-wise wireless. But I'm just trying to think. Let's just first hold on. Let's go backwards. There's one school that needs help. Come on.
Serious.
But if you're talking 6 years from now, most of those kids are already gone. Mm-hmm. Most of those parents are already in high school. So I just want to say, I don't mind having to pay money, but let's do what's right first. You know? You know what I'm saying, Matt? You with me on that?
I hear you.
All right. So, you know, that's what I got to say. So I'll go to that. On the Jopra show today, man, I brought on a great friend. And I tell you, Eric, I've been in the restaurant business for 30 years. I know the guy for a long time. If you're going to do anything in the restaurant world, the one big problem that we've always found is people have been either undercapitalized or don't understand the number game. And this guy, he started this company 20 now? How long has it been now?
No, I met Blair, Chris, and Les back in 2000. So we've been doing it since 2000.
So, I mean, they've been going for a while, and they started to put together a system called Restaurant Solutions, Inc. And after a commercial, we're going to break it down on the Jopra Show about how to open a restaurant and which way to go about doing the restaurant. And, he's going to show you and tell you a class that he's throwing that I'm still flabbergasted over, and we spoke about this yesterday. So let's go to break here on the Jopra Show on 1150 Alternative Talk. Me, Eric Ryder, Lisa Martin, and Matt Vanini will be right back on the Jopra Show.
Conversations Live with Vicki St. Clair discusses issues that are important to you, like good health and well-being, finding a new job and building your business, overcoming life's big challenges and making sense out of chaos, and living with passion and joy. Join us Mondays at noon Pacific for Conversations Live with Vicki St. Clair. See conversationslive.net for show schedule and guest information.
If you love dogs, tune in to The Dog Show with Julie Forbes, live every Wednesday from 2 to 3 p.m. We'll talk about everything dog and interview authors, experts, and amazing organizations, both locally and nationally. And don't even get me started on the pet food industry. I'm Julie Forbes. Find us online at www.dogradioshow.com and also as a free podcast on iTunes. The Dog Show with Julie Forbes, an evolved perspective on life with dogs.
For home repair, remodel, and construction advice, ideas, and stories, tune into Constructing Whatever. With over 40 years of combined experience, hosts Tim, Lynn, and Anna talk about whatever, from important need-to-know topics, taking your questions, latest industry news, and a whole lot of personality. Start your weekend with us, Constructing Whatever, every Saturday at 10 a.m.
This week,
October 20th, it's Sweetest Day.
Saturday at 10 a.m.
Every generation needs a voice, and on Mondays at 2 p.m. here on Alternative Talk 1150, Lewis Howard's show, Head of the House, is the voice for the 20s, 30s, and 40s. Head of the House brings education, insight, and information that brings health and healing to the challenges of managing your home, relationships, and your career. Tune in once and you will be hooked. That's Head of the House every Monday at 2 p.m. here on Alternative Talk 1150.
Alternative to what? Alternative to everything else out there on the radio. Alternative Talk 1150 AM.
You are back here listening to the Jopra Show, getting funky, old 80s music right now. That's an old cut, Eric. I like where you're going with that today.
It's Tom's Diner, and, we're talking about restaurants.
Right?
We got to pull up the restaurant songs.
The restaurant. Nice. That's the thing. I have that at home on a 12-inch album. Well, that's a whole nother story. We'll talk about that. Don't laugh. Well, on today's show, folks, with me, of course, my queen, Lisa Martin. Hello, Lisa. How are you today?
Good. How are you?
Good. Welcome to King Eric Ryder. And in studio today, man, folks, I brought a special friend of mine. I mean, this guy's an old cat, and he's been in the restaurant world for a long time, and his connection's big. I mean, he is now, typically the backbone of about, I don't know how many restaurants now, but if you open a restaurant, RSI's with you. If you know anybody in the restaurant world, Matador, Toulouse's, all the folks, all the big dogs, RSI's with them. And in studio today from Restaurant Solutions is Matt Vanini. Hello, Matt. How are you, my brother?
I'm doing well. How are you?
Good. Thanks for coming on the Jopra Show, man.
Thanks for having me.
Well, Matt, now, when I posted it up today, Restaurant Solutions, people were texting me right away, what is Restaurant Solutions? And I said, well, I'm going to break it down for you. But I said, even more than me, I'm going to let Matt tell you on the show today. So, Matt, can you tell me, what is Restaurant Solutions, Inc.?
Restaurant Solutions, Inc., we started it back in 2000, and the goal was to bring corporate-level management systems to independent restaurants. Now, I mean, what does that actually mean? Well, when you look at an independent restaurant and you look at how unique the brand is, how individuals start with a dream, maybe they were a server, bartender, or cook, and they want to build these restaurants, they get out there with these amazing ideas, and they want to take that creativity and they want to bring it into the manager's office. And that's the last place you want to be creative, right? Especially when you're dealing with the IRS Department of Revenue.
Right.
So it was our mission to provide the corporate level horsepower. So the tools and the discipline and the muscle memory that put a Red Robin on the map or put a Cheesecake Factory on the map. Because when you break all those restaurants down, whether it's Darden or, what have you, OSI, you're going to find that they act very, very similar in their behavior. Well, there's no reason why independents shouldn't act the same way.
Right.
So that was our mantra is to help people focus on their food, not their finances, and and really be a partner with the restaurant. You want to have somebody in your corner who's got perspective, and perspective's gained in a variety of ways, but experience is one of those ways. Number of restaurants, so you've seen it 1,000 times, right? And our job is to educate. If you've got a question, you want to build your sales, you want to cut your costs, you want to increase your guest count, whatever that is, we wanted to be the first call. We wanted to be the people that you called because we were the experts in the industry. We'd shoot straight, not always tell you what you want to hear, but at the end of the day, tell you what you need to hear.
Right, and that's the backbone. I mean, I knew when you guys launched a few smaller restaurants, and I don't want to name those restaurants, and you were dealing with owners who weren't really big business people. They had great vision, but what you did with them, you created them to become business people, more finance-oriented, and I applaud you for that. And the system is I use the system at my restaurant, and it's a very user-friendly system. It's not too complicated, but boy, you really get a lot of knowledge out of that quickly. The numbers tell the story.
And I appreciate that. And I think, it's a huge compliment that it's user-friendly. I think that to create great workflow is a true art form. And I think that, when we first started this and Chris was developing the workflow, I mean, he did a fantastic job, along with the experience that Les had on the backside of the system. I mean, we knew that we had to own the entire space between the point-of-sale system and the IRS. You had to have everything, because if you were bringing me an Excel sheet, I didn't know how you calculated those formulas, and then we've got to go ahead and produce your financial statement. So it didn't make sense to have different components. They all had to be there, but most important was you had to have the service. You had to have the individuals, the accountants, the bank rec specialists, the tax specialists, and then the operational trainers. You don't have time to teach me how to teach you how to use my system.
Right.
If you are talking to me about how usage is calculated, and I'm looking at you like you just landed a spaceship in my backyard, we got a problem.
Right.
So that is, it's very humbling what you said.
No, and the great thing about it, Matt, you hit a great point. Your operational trainers, and I work with them. And folks, you're talking about this massive system to run your restaurant. And some people will say, well, it's a lot to do and this and that. But they really, truly are there for you. It's a phone call. And then I've had them come to the store and work on what's going and show us things. And it's been great. Little things. They show us little things. But then another big story. I had no idea. I had no idea. So, I mean, Restaurant Solutions, it's great that way.
There's a great analogy that somebody gave to us years ago, and I've stuck onto it ever since. Somebody said to me once, they said, you're very much like my personal trainer at the gym, right? If I want to work on my arms, or if I want to work on my cardio, if I want to work on a specific body part, they'll turn around and they will create a program that is for me, that it allows me to work within my own capabilities. We say that there's 3 reasons people don't do things. They don't know, they don't care, they just can't do it. So at the end of the day, when we find out what people are willing and capable of doing, that's what you've got to work on. And then when you build those small successes with individuals, it's like a good drug. They want more and they want more and they want more.
And you do, and that's the basis of it. As we break down our restaurant, I mean, the more numbers, it is a drug. You do want more. Tell me, Matt, about our RSI and about your system. Why would a common Joe open a restaurant? Why would he use you first? I mean, what? Tell me from a standpoint, like I've had people sort of look at me, well, why use our RSI?
Yeah, there's 2 ways to look at anything. One is by function. Somebody will say, well, I have to do my payroll, or I have to do this, or I have to do that. So why would I use somebody else? Well, at the end of the day, when you're dealing with a vertical in the restaurant business that, the National Restaurant Association says that 75% to 80% go out of business in the first year, right? You also typically don't own your building. Right. So you really don't have any assets, because if you haven't checked lately, your restaurant equipment isn't worth anything at an auction.
Nope.
Mm-hmm. So at the end of the day, if it's almost impossible to get funding for it, and 75% of them are going to go out of business, you don't want to bring a knife to a gunfight. Mm-hmm. You want to make sure that you're surrounded by people who specifically know what they are doing and have seen it before, right? So I think that the compelling tale for us is, we are making as much investment in that concept as they are in us. Our job is to care and sometimes care more about the individual than they care about themselves.
Right.
And to show them that their time is worth a lot of money, and if they put in the right tools and they put in the right discipline and the right experience, and they create that corporate level discipline, they will have a far greater than 75% chance of failure of really making it.
Right. And to segue into making it, I mean, what is there a percentage of success rates going on with RSI?
Yeah, there is. It's really interesting. We were looking earlier this year at since 2007, the number of restaurants that came to us that we call them, the brand new. Mm-hmm. It wasn't, I didn't buy a Buffalo Wild Wing franchise. I opened up, started it myself. Well, when we look and we analyze those restaurants, and we do this, at 5 weeks, and then roughly every 6-7 months, we do a performance assessment review on these clients, and we look at where they are net profit. We're looking at net profits that, for a $1.2 or $1.4 million that are not 4% or not 3%. We're looking upwards of anywhere between 10 and 13% for these restaurants. And that's normalizing the financial statements. It's not how much they're taking out for themselves.
Right.
But just on operational gross profit, we're looking at anywhere between 15, 20% higher. Now, why is that? And it's not because they're buying chicken for 30% less, right? It's because they have a discipline and because they have an immediacy of information. I've never, if you show somebody something that's critical to them and you show it to them frequently and they understand what to do with the information, they're gonna make better decisions. You're gonna have to work harder to be stupider, and so I think that's the compelling tale. Oh, and the other thing too that was very important to us in the beginning was we didn't want to bill by the hour. This isn't a consulting firm, right? At the end of the day, if we're telling you, what your salt and pepper shaker should look like, well, you got the wrong guys. So, we're charging a flat rate, right? We don't have contracts, so in a lot of ways, RSI is kind of like moving back in with your parents and you've been gone a couple of years and you're under our house, but it's good for you.
Sure.
So you're hands-on, you go to the locations?
We not so much anymore. We use a lot of technology, obviously, because we own all our software. We've written it all. But we do a lot of trainings. WebEx has been a wonderful tool for us. We get to record the trainings. We get to see the clients. They get to see us. We'll come into specific areas like, Seattle. We'll run restaurant groups. We'll bring everybody down to a central location and we'll work on issues like, one of the biggest ones that's coming up is minimum wage is going up in January again. So we have to proactively help these restaurants understand, hey, what is this impact going to be to your gross profit? And how can you do this without pulling a parlor trick and just raising up everything 30 cents to cover it? There's strategic ways to still maintain the brand, treat your guests with respect and take care of your employees.
So let's just say I'm Mrs. Johnson. I'm opening a sandwich shop, and I'm not a computer savvy person. What kind of time frame am I as Mrs. Johnson looking about learning how to use RSI, and how long will it take me to become, I'd say, comfortable with it?
It's a wonderful question because we get asked all the time, and everybody wants. Training has to be done to competency, training to task. The military created this, go, no-go based training. And I think part of the problem with software and why it's so arduous for people is because they're left to their own devices to figure out how to use it. So with RSI, it works a little differently. How long does it take you to become competent, is immediately, because the game starts the minute you take money.
Sure.
You owe the state now, right? The minute you pay somebody, you owe the federal government, right? So your on the job is immediate. Now, with that being said, there's different financial periods that our training focuses on more advanced topics. So, you go from a very functional click, press, do training to more of okay, what's your slowest day part? What are you going to do with the slowest day part? How are you going to increase your sales? That training could take, 6-7 months for some people because they're not ready for it or they're not there yet. We have a phrase at RSI, training is for life. Training's for life. We cover 3 financial periods initially for, in an ideal environment. People are going to get through all the trainings if they did, anywhere between 2 to 4 a week. They would go through 3 financial periods. It's rare that actually happens. People only have X amount of bandwidth in between taking care of their guests.
Sure. So it's a process.
It is a process.
But you're in day one. As soon as you hit that beer number, boom, it goes to work.
And we got a phrase. It's called the epiphany. And the epiphany is when you see an individual, I don't care how long they've been working in the business, you see an individual that's looking at a financial statement for the first time, and they can actually speak intelligently about how it actually showed up on that P&L.
Right. Yeah.
Oh, I get it now. I see how this worked. Hold on, I'm not holding this thing upside down anymore. And it's good. And sometimes it has a reverse effect. There's clients that have come on board. They start getting their financial statement and it's accurate for the first time in 15 years. And they're like, you know what? What am I doing here? It's time to get out of this game. So
warning.
There you go.
Warning. Jopra moment. Warning. So tell me, how many accounts? How many accounts we got now? Are we all nationally? Are we globally? What?
Yeah, in my mind, we're globally.
Nice.
Right now, I got everybody back at our side, just waiting to see what the number is that's going to come out of my mouth. We are sitting right around 900 restaurants that we spread across 43 or 44 states.
Okay.
Wow.
Right. Our heaviest concentration of restaurants are the Pacific Northwest, Colorado, and ironically, Carolinas. And you'll see what happens to us is you'll see restaurants in different environments around the country.
Right.
You've got Texas that has minimum wage at $2.13 because it's a tip credit, and and booze is private. You'll see Seattle with the absolute opposite environment. So you'll find that certain restaurant trends are very regionally based,
right.
And it causes the individuals in that region to use RSI in a very specific way. So the benefit is that as these regions are using RSI in different ways, we're able to share the knowledge with each other.
Right.
We're able to take programs now that booze. Here's a perfect example. Now that booze is private in Washington, Colorado's been living this way forever. So now you can look at some of the marketing, the marketing ideas. I mean, these guys are experts at really maximizing their brand efficiencies on the back wall versus the wine and the beer and bundling them together. So now you can take that strategy and we can teach Washingtonians, the restaurateurs who are used to running a 24 to 25% liquor cost, to try to get that sucker down to, your 17s and your 16s without jacking up the price on your favorite Cosmo.
Can I charge $12 for a Cosmo? And
put it in a 4-ounce glass.
Put it in a 4-ounce glass and make you feel so special.
But you've got mood lighting.
Look at that drink. But here's the thing. Okay, so I want to use RSI. I have, but I'm still, just got done writing my business plan. I'm putting together my formulas. I got my numbers sort of lined up through a software I found down at Office Supply. But I don't have a chance to run scenarios. Because always when you go to a bank or an investor or someone that you're asking for a large amount of money, I need scenarios. So when you and I talked, Matt, you sort of gave me a heads up that you were launching something, which intrigued me a lot and why I finally got you on the show to talk about. And something happened in South Carolina about 3 years ago that my people on the Jopra show, they got to hear it, man. You got to tell them about the simulator. Yeah,
it's I'll tell you, this thing is a culmination. It's a class. It's a class that has a simulation effect. Before I go into it, let me give you the scenario that most people will face when they want to open a restaurant. All right, you're going to borrow money. You're going to borrow money from somewhere or somebody, right? And by the time you get to the bank, they want you to justify how you came up with your sales numbers, right? So when you look at those sales numbers, you've got to be able to say, oh, you know what? I didn't use my magic 8-ball, and and I think that this is what my competition down the street does. Because
normally you're always guessing.
You are always guessing.
It's assumptions.
Yeah, and then my dad used to say it's not the quality of what I say, but the velocity of which I say it. So that's how you're selling the bank on loaning you money, which, by the way, you have no assets to secure. So, anyways, what we wanted to do a couple of years ago. We got really involved with in South Carolina. We got really involved with the Restaurant Association as well as the Culinary Institute of Charleston. And Dean Michael Sabo is one of the nicest guys in the world, old restaurant guy. And he and I started having a conversation about how their students. There was an initiative to really make sure that they had some practical application when they graduated, from whether the culinary side or the hospitality side, and And so we were wondering, went down the path of internships. You build a restaurant and you park them in there so that they get some real world experience. Well, that was only one facet. The other part of it was, could we mimic virtual restaurants in a simulation environment? Could you build a business plan, build all the anatomy of that business plan, and then put it into a cite, if you will, and feed live data in there. So live data from, a fast casual restaurant or a QSR, a quick service restaurant, or a full service bar, or whatever it was.
Right.
And really let these individuals take these business plans, run live data that mimics their sales, right? And then run them through a battery of scenarios. You're undercapitalized by 30%. What does that do?
Right.
Your staffing. You went way over on your staffing and your sales went soft. How do you let these individuals go without sending out shockwaves that your restaurant isn't doing that well? I mean, things that are just might seem common sense because you've been through them 1,000 times, but these individuals are seeing them for the first time. And so we created this program at the Culinary Institute of Charleston. And now we're looking at taking it to other institutions. But it is a restaurant. It's a restaurant business plan / simulation course that takes 14 weeks, and it is really, really cool to watch what's happening.
Wow. I got a phone call in from Chicago. Olga, are you there? Olga, are you there from Chicago? This is the Jopra Show. How you doing?
Doing really well, thank you. I'm glad that I tuned into this show. This is really timely for me. I'm in the process of opening a cafe, and there's a concept in Chicago that people seem to be adapting, and I'm wondering, do you have any comments regarding the BYOB to your restaurants? How does that affect sales?
Good question. Matt?
As far as BYOB, bring your own booze into your restaurant. I think any concept, whether it's a BYOB or whether it's a, whether it is, there's restaurants now that, like the melting pot was a kitschy concept when it first started. I think any concept that services its guests, they're going to wind up making some money. I think it's going to change the cost dynamic completely because, it's just like, I used to have a couple of restaurants in Eastern Washington. People they'd be bringing their own wine all the time.
Right.
So how do we compensate? Corkage fees. And then if they kept bringing wine in,
sure.
What'd you do? You jacked up your corkage fee.
Yeah.
Now, if she was trying to do a BYOB concept, would she be able to go online to hit the simulator?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely. Because you have to pay your bills, you have to build a business, and you have to get people to invest in it.
Now, what could she? So I guess the next question is, when can a common person like Olga, who's looking to do a startup, get online and hit the restaurant simulator?
It's funny because right now we're in the 8th week right now of our first run at this. So we've got roughly 6-7 more weeks of this. Michael and I have discussed opening it up so that that even though it's sponsored, there's a sponsorship through Culinary Institute of Charleston, but it would open it up nationally to allow us to take so many students per 14 weeks. It's a schedule that we've got to work out, but that's our goal.
Right.
So when somebody goes to this, do they basically say like, "Hey, we want to do a barbecue joint. This is how much money I have. This is the spot I'm looking at. This is what it's per square foot, blah blah." And then does everything come in line? Like, do you need to know if they want Class H, just beer and wine? They want 5 entrees, 4 entrees. Like, do you need to break it? Do they need to have that exact kind of things, or do you guys kind of help them through that whole process?
I love this question. I love it because there is a formula to it. And yes, it's all of the above. The only difference with what you said, Lisa, is I don't tell them, or they don't tell us up front, hey, I have $250,000. In fact, it's quite the opposite. You go through the process of designing the restaurant. There's exercises where they're going to have to go to competitors and look at what they, look at who they want to be like. They bring that to the table, and then you build the environment for them. And then ultimately you build the capital requirements, and you're going through this. And at the end, it determines, hey, this is how much money.
How much your startup is?
You got it. This is what you're going to need. Now the game is, how are you going to prove it? How are you going to prove that you deserve that $500,000, $750,000?
That startup capital.
And so,
and I think
great question, Lisa.
And I know that like Olga from Chicago, that's my mom, by the way. She said, she's looking to do a cafe or coffee shop. So I understand the BYOB portion of it, but so she was going to do a coffee shop. Can she go through the simulator to do a coffee shop?
You absolutely can, because at the end of the day, it's about the sales and it's about the product mix.
Okay.
And what's ironic? I got a call from a gentleman from Chicago doing a BYOB, but like almost a month and a half ago.
Did you hear that, Mom? There's someone copying you already. She's going to be fired up. She's going to call me back.
We found you a friend.
She went, what the?
That's my idea.
She went on a date. She went on a date and probably told him somebody her idea. And that's all
It's a 2-story BYOB coffee shop. They were actually going to do music on the upstairs, and then they had talked about how they were going to navigate around the liquor line. So, and it was out of Chicago. Now that I'm thinking about it.
See, there you go. Bing, bing, bing. She's going to be texting me in a few minutes. What is going on?
You dropped me.
So I mean, this is pretty amazing.
Yeah.
I mean, this is a dream deal for all you restaurant people because I mean, you're actually going to be able to bring your whole business plan to the table and see how it pencils out.
Yeah,
Period.
I mean,
cause and effect. You're going to find everything out.
You're at least there's no way that you're going to go through something like this and at least not pick up something that could potentially save you. And,
okay.
I mean, really. I mean, because the worst possible thing with most restaurants, there's no plan for cash flow in that restaurant in the first 45 days. Yeah. And every side deal that you cut is due in 90 days.
It's the 90-day rule.
It's the 90-day rule.
On so many different fronts.
If you just joined us today on the Jopra Show here on Alternative Talk, got my main man, Matt Vanini for Restaurant Solutions, and we're just breaking down a restaurant startup simulator, as you could say, that he's going through the culinary school here at South Carolina, and it's about to go national, and I think it's going to go global.
Yeah,
I don't see why the Wells Fargos of the world and the Bank of Americas don't pretty soon start knocking on the door of our side going, okay, let us have it. Because I tell you, I know this. Others who are listening are planning on opening restaurants today.
People are always going to open them, so you might as well make money if you're going to open them.
And I know that people today are probably, including my mom, will be calling you going, I want your services.
I appreciate
it.
And
the whole thing, too, is there's so many people out there that say, oh, I'm going to open a restaurant, but they don't realize that there are the taxes, there are the
little
simple things.
There's little things that they have no idea about.
And all of a sudden, at the end of the month, they're like, wow, where'd that $2,000 go that I thought I had?
Right. And Matt, you were saying, if I remember correctly, when we spoke on the phone, she just texted me. 200. You had 206 students already go through this, or
no? They have currently now. There are 264. There are 264 in the HOS 255 program at the CIC.
Wow!
All of them will get this program. So that's all of them. This is a required class for those individuals.
And how far? I mean, you can't really call it because you don't know the personnel that's going to do these deals. But what would you say then? My chances through NRA is 75 to 85% failing. If I took the RSI simulator program, how did do I become more securable? Am I more kind of person that the bank would want to talk to because I did this program? Does that make me a higher fit to lose or a higher fit to win? I mean, how? If the guy comes to me and says, Joe, I want to do this, but am I really going to get my money if I go through this whole simulating? I'm like, I don't know.
Yeah, it's funny. This is where actual results may vary, depending upon your actual work.
Yeah.
But no, I mean, let's look at it this way. Mm-hmm. If you had an individual and you were in a position of you had two people come to you,
right,
and you were going to loan one of them money, and one person came and said, look, the reason that my numbers look the way that they do and the reason this is because I've been in the business for 20 years and I know the business like the back of my hand, mm-hmm, and I've been doing this forever. Mm-hmm. And then the other guy said, hey, I've been in the business for about 2 years, and so not only have I put this down based on this criteria and this research, mm-hmm, but also I have pressed these numbers to the wall in 30 different ways, and here's the results, and here's how I modified my concept, and this is what I know to be my break even, this is what I know to be my target,
right,
and here's what I anticipate is going to come down. Who would you loan money to?
Right.
So yeah, I mean, I would love to have Wells or Chase or somebody come back and say, you know what, we won't even consider lending unless you have RSI. By the way, anybody who's listening from Chase,
that's ding dong, ding dong. But I tell you though, that's the way because people have to identify the number. The greatest problem I've seen in the restaurant world over 30 years is always it's been the undercapitalization and not understanding the number.
Those two, and I'm going to add a third.
I don't want to say the third, but yeah, go ahead.
Well, no, not personal dysfunction. That's the fourth.
Is that the fourth?
The third is usually a really, really crummy lease.
Crummy lease.
Individuals will not understand. They'll get into these, 10-year lease with 5 1-year options, and they don't realize that the lease is going to start working against them after, let's call it 6 years.
Right.
So when you say to somebody, oh, by the way, you've got to increase your sales by 42% over 7 years,
What?
The concept just eludes them.
Yeah.
So there's a better way to work with your landlord. Because remember, your landlord doesn't want to have an empty building either.
Nope.
Right? So, you don't necessarily have to take what's given to you. But once again, you have to speak intelligently about what you want.
You got to do that way. Well, I mean, I think, this is a game changer. I just really believe.
Thank you.
I said it to you yesterday. I believe in the next 3 to 5 years, NRA, any restaurant association, any bank is going to have you go through this system to get to the next level.
Or sign them on and be like, all right, so
Right.
you want us to give you the
If I
loan? You
owned
want our
right.
computers to do the job and do it and send it out, and
I am
we'll let you know.
I'm so humbled by that. I think we all are. We're grateful because I know we have high hopes, and we have a true love to make for our clients and to help them achieve their life dreams.
Right.
Take care of their kids, their families, open more restaurants, and I think that this is such a critical way.
Well, because we've seen too much failure.
Oh God.
You've seen too much failure.
You remember when we used to read those restaurant books, and they'd always say that the first 3 words were location, location, location.
Yeah.
That's changed over
Sure
the years.
is.
Now it's
Numbers.
I think we'll call it management crappy concept.
Right.
Right. We always joke at RSI, and we always say if you're going to open a vegan wine bar, the Titanic hit the iceberg, and you're rearranging deck chairs. But at the end of the day, if you have a good handle on your numbers and you understand how to use those to affect change, you are going to be in the business as long as possible.
Okay.
So,
well, last question then.
Fire.
A lot of good stuff going on here. Bottom line, how do we get to when are the simulator going to be available? Because I know. If it was on tonight, I'd be on there, man, narrowing out
After the game and your wine
yeah, that's usually the best
and
time
your
to run
spaghetti, and
simulations.
you're like, mama.
Hey, I get a lot of things done at 2, 3 in the morning. Have you seen my
Open
emails?
a wine bar that serves spaghetti and shows football.
You
This
guys
is the greatest idea
Punch
ever.
in the numbers now.
5-pound meatballs.
Have you guys not seen the emails, the conceptual
Football-shaped
ideas?
meatballs, yeah.
Listen, I tell you. But when would it be? Are we a couple years out?
No, not at all.
Okay.
Like I said, we're pushing the first class through here, and I think that we've learned a lot. We're going to go back and we're going to tweak a couple things, but I would say, stay tuned on the website. And I think that thinking off the cuff, I think that we would open it up to our largest markets first because we have a fair amount of data that we can pour into this thing.
Right.
So we would probably start in those markets and work our way around.
Okay.
Yeah.
So is it like a one-time charge or each concept charge or just the...
Still working that
Yeah.
out. There's a couple things, that we've kicked around. Because there's 2 different sides of this. One is, this class is simulation and going through that. And the other is actually using RSI. And I think one can translate to the other. So there's some things we got to work out for it.
Because if I did my simulation through you and had deal numbers, I got RSI down. So when I open up my plays,
Do you get a kickback? RSI gets a 1%
you
kickback.
see how it works?
There we go.
There you go.
There we go.
Ice cream man comes down the alley with free ice cream, and then the next day when it's 100 degrees, it's $1.
You got my number. We're not fooling anybody.
You know
over
that
here.
sound when it's 100 degrees. When it's 50, you're like, oh, the ice cream man's here.
You've heard the music on the website, right?
Right.
It sounds like the ice cream man.
Well, I tell you, awesome. Thanks for
you.
coming on today. Folks, Matt Vanini on the Jopra Show here today. We're going to go to break, come right back. Lisa was on the street again this week, and she went to Cannon. And we're going to talk a little about Cannon here up on Capitol here on the Jopra Show right after these messages.
Thanks again.
If you love dogs, tune in to The Dog Show with Julie Forbes, live every Wednesday from 2 to 3 p.m. We'll talk about everything dog and interview authors, experts, and amazing organizations, both locally and nationally. And don't even get me started on the pet food industry. I'm Julie Forbes. Find us online at www.dogradioshow.com and also as a free podcast on iTunes. The Dog Show with Julie Forbes, an evolved perspective on life with dogs.
Conversations Live with Vicki St. Clair discusses issues that are important to you, like good health and well-being, finding a new job and building your business, overcoming life's big challenges and making sense out of chaos, and living with passion and joy. Join us Mondays at noon Pacific for Conversations Live with Vicki St. Clair. See conversationslive.net for show schedule and guest information.
For home repair, remodel, and construction advice, ideas, and stories, tune into Constructing Whatever. With over 40 years of combined experience, hosts Tim, Lynn, and Anna talk about whatever, from important need-to-know topics, taking your questions, latest industry news, and a whole lot of personality. Start your weekend with us, Constructing Whatever, every Saturday at 10 a.m.
This week,
October 20th, it's Sweetest Day.
Saturday at 10 a.m.
Every generation needs a voice, and on Mondays at 2 p.m. here on Alternative Talk 1150, Lewis Howard's show, Head of the House, is the voice for the 20s, 30s, and 40s. Head of the House brings education, insight, and information that brings health and healing to the challenges of managing your home, relationships, and your career. Tune in once and you will be hooked. That's Head of the House every Monday at 2 p.m. here on Alternative Talk 1150.
What's up, everybody? I'm Mark Monroe from My Unfold, and you're listening to The Jopra Show, only on Alternative Talk, 1150 a.m.
Proud to bring variety to your radio dial. Alternative Talk, 1150 a.m.
Welcome back to the Jopra Show. Joe Janot here. And if you just joined us, we just finished up on my man, Matt Vanini, breaking it down about how to open restaurants. Eric, what you think?
I thought it was cool, and during the break there, I came up with the name for your spaghetti and wine bar. It's going to be called Sauced.
We are opening up our new restaurant next year, backed by Restaurant Solutions, called Sauced, here on the Jopra Show, and we'll be doing our wing off anytime soon. Speaking of which, Lisa.
Yeah.
Before we get into you on the Walk of Shame at Cannon's, I wanted to get right to the chase about the wing off. And, Eric, I've had some people, and Matt, we're trying to organize a wing off come here because, since I have issues with chicken, fried, baked, any which way, that I said, let's have a wing off. And Eric was like going crazy over the wing off because he likes to eat.
I do, yes.
Yeah, he likes to eat. So once in a while, we had Ezels in here.
I think I've got the same issues as you.
Yes, we do. So we're going to have a wing off. So I want to put a shout out. If you own a restaurant, sports bar, and you think that your wings have any soup, you get a hold of us. Go to our Facebook page, The Jopra Show, and hit me up and just say, I'd love to come on for the contest. Because we're going to award somebody the wing off this year. Who's got the best wings in the Seattle proper?
There's like 4 places going through my mind right now.
Right?
Like I sent him a list
I mean, give me one, Matt. I mean, you go out to eat a lot of places. You got a lot of connections. I mean, what's your favorite place? If you're going to have some wings and a cold beer.
I'm going to pick a dark horse.
Come on. I like a dark horse.
Down in the South End, man, there's a place called Gators down the South End.
You know about Gators, Eric? You're down the South End.
I haven't been there. I'll have to check it out.
Oh, you guys are missing out.
Gators, okay.
Missing out.
It's on the list. So, Matt, you got to call Mr. Gator and tell him that.
Give Chris a call.
Give Chris a call. So you need to come on the Jopra Show with about a pound of wings and see who's got the soup. I'm going to have a Jopra shirt. It's going to be called the Wing Off Champion.
Yep. You got Gators, and then you got Billy Baroo's.
Down
in Tukwila.
Right.
So supporting the South End here today.
You are supporting the South End. We know where you go drink a cold one.
Gators is in Kent, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Nice. All right. Well, we're going to keep working on it. But if you want to get on the wing off, you contact me through the Jopra Show on the Facebook page. And in about a couple of weeks, we're going to hit that. I think we're going to do it the first week in November.
I'll make sure I'm back in town for that one.
Right.
Yeah.
And we're going to need some judges.
There you go.
So, Matt, I'd love to have you in play. I mean, I'm going to try to get Slick Watts up here and Sir Mix-a-Lot to do the chicken because we need some old chicken-flavored eating fools in this place. Right? But, Lisa, I put out that you went to Cannon, and boy, did I get some texts right away. They're all wanting to know if you wrote on anybody's hand. Did you tell anybody, what happened when you went to Cannon? How was your trip up on Capitol Hill at the Cannon Whiskey and Bitters Emporium?
It was good. First, I want to say happy birthday to my dad.
Oh, dang.
It's my dad's birthday today.
Shout out.
So, I told him to listen. So, hi, happy birthday.
What's your dad's name?
Rob.
How old is Rob?
59.
59. Happy birthday, sir.
All right. Yeah.
You have a wonderful daughter here on the Jopra Show. And
he got his presents.
You got his What'd you send him?
I sent him a cupcake and fruit edible arrangement. and a box of socks and bags of M&Ms.
Why do dads get socks?
He asked for socks.
No,
He asked for. I was like, Dad,
no.
what do you want? He's
Come
like,
on.
I want Argyle socks.
You know,
So he
Nice.
got
For-
a bunch, and he's in Minnesota now. So I sent him some real thick, warm wool socks. He is always wants socks for Christmas.
You know-
for his birthday, he's always asking for socks or gloves. That's
Last-
his thing.
Last
What's
Christmas.
he doing with all the other socks?
Yeah.
I don't know. That's his thing.
You know, last Christmas.
It's a lot of socks.
In my
You
stocking.
go home, you find some big sculpture
just
made
like-
of socks on Sunday.
You know,
Instead
I
of a yarn ball, it's a
Isn't
big
that like
sock ball over the
Created
years.
a whole
It's like
group
it's an
of
old
friends out
person
of
deal.
sock
You get
puppets.
socks and Old Spice.
Old Spice.
I mean,
Ooh.
you know, last year for Christmas, I got the socks.
Yeah.
And I said, that's it. I've become an old dad. I'm getting socks for Christmas. My wife goes, you're not old. I'm like, you got me socks. And then I opened up the next package. I got T-shirts. All right. So happy birthday to Dad. On to Cannon we go. The
Yes.
home of Jamie Boudreau, the king of craft cocktails, Mr. Brian Lee, and then the legendary one-armed man, Murray Stinson.
yeah.
And he's out right now. He's on IR. Las Vegas has put him up on IR. But how was the trip at Cannon?
It was great. I have to tell you, I put that on my favorite bar in Seattle right now.
Favorite bar? Because it
Yeah.
just won. It was just voted like top 10 bars in the world.
Yeah.
It was voted hottest new bar in the country. It's got the number one bartender in the country, voted by GQ magazine.
Mm-hmm.
And then Jamie Boudreau is just a phenom in his own self. He's like LeBron of cocktails.
Yes.
So then you got in, you sat down.
I got in. Well, I walked in the door, and first of all, it's just this breathtaking, two walls.
It's the wall of booze.
Like, as a person who likes to drink and sample different things, you just stop
No.
in your own steps.
Not
like
you.
the lighting, the candles, the atmosphere. And I was lucky that the person that was hosting at the time was a friend of Jared. So it was nice to walk into a familiar face and then sit at the bar, and it's Brian. And so that just all of a sudden helps suck in that great hospitality.
Imagine that, Eric. Somebody she knew. I mean, something new. I mean, Matt, you got to understand, every time we send Lisa
She
out.
can't leave the house without running into
No,
something.
she's the only person that has a bus driver beep on her when they're walking across the street.
I can see that.
You can see that, right? So then you had a drink. What did you
Yeah.
order?
I had the Age La Bicicleta.
What the heck?
And it comes in its own little bottled flask. Like, he literally hands me the bottle and opens it. And I drank it so fast it was ridiculous.
Was it cold?
It was cold and it was yummy. And, it just sits there and it's like a flask. And you're just like, but it's a bottle. So you just keep drinking and drinking and talking and drinking. And next thing you know, is on the drink two, in 30 minutes.
Dang.
It was crazy.
They couldn't do that with me and Matt. They'd lose money because we'd be starting to bring in our own bottles, matching them up.
Speaking of BYOB, right?
Yeah.
BYOB.
Better have that corkage fee.
Yeah, it's pretty. And they had the Angostura bourbon popcorn and nuts, which was amazing. And let's see,
They had
they
popcorn.
have their booze list alone is 47 pages long, and they have a hardcore porn list. It's called, and they have a bottle on there from 1890. And
Can we go back to the porn list?
I know.
Because Matt and I did the look. We just
I know. I saw you
that was
guys.
a double look,
Did you see me swivel away real quick from that look?
Right?
Oh, the time.
All the time. And so then you had some food? Did you?
I just had the popcorn.
Okay.
Yeah,
And that was
I
cool?
had ate before that.
Busy
so.
spot, huh?
It was. It was very busy. A lot of industry people were there. It's a Tuesday night, so
Okay.
a lot of industry people.
Right.
A lot of couples. A lot of good-looking people too. A lot of people in the interaction of bartender to bar. People at the bar with each other was phenomenal. It
Awesome.
wasn't that where you sit there
Pretentious,
and,
angry.
Yeah,
The
no,
angry bartender was
everybody
not there?
Yeah.
Everybody was watching
Because I
the
see that way
drinks.
too much.
And what I liked is we were talking about how sometimes you get the really nice drink and it takes 5 minutes. These guys make extremely nice and great cocktails, but it's a steady pace. You aren't sitting there
They've got the
waiting for
production down.
5. Yeah.
They're a little quicker than the vessel?
Yeah.
Okay. I mean, Matt, do you see, within your business, cocktail lounges like this do very well? I mean, are they more of a higher success rate than a restaurant lounge? I mean,
You will see that because let's face it, cocktail is the last oasis for profit in the restaurant business.
Right.
So they have a better success rate, and especially usually the thing that throws them for a loop is, to your point, Lisa, they usually take 10 minutes to just make a drink,
Right.
but it's going to, the drink's going to have fireworks coming off of it. So it's great that these guys got the production down as well.
Sure.
You know?
And then also, too, their interaction while they're making the
That's
drink.
great.
They're talking with people. So even if it did take 3 or 4 minutes, I didn't realize it because they were talking with me. They're talking to the people next
They're
to me.
engaged.
And
That's
everybody's
awesome.
talking like, what is that? Where is that? What's that from? And so yeah.
Would you say this was your number one lounge?
This is my number one place right now.
All right.
Yeah.
So Cannon's up on Capitol. Cannon's Whiskey and Bitters Emporium, 928 12th Avenue, next to Lark. The king of cocktails, Jamie Boudreau's joint.
Thanks, Brian, for your great bartending and everything there.
Oh, yeah. And my man from Arkansas, the most southern boy we know, Brian Lee, is in the house on that show. And you got to go check out Brian Lee.
He's amazing.
He does great stuff up there. Awesome.
He's
awesome.
funny.
And Lisa, you made a point last night when you came down to have our little late night meeting about things I talked about last week about the swivel butt. Now,
The swivel butt.
we talk a lot about dating on the show, Matt. And since I've told her last week about how people act on a bar and how there's that one girl who's working the swivel. She's going right, left,
It's funny
right.
because as a bartender and everything, I always knew what he was talking about. But last night when I was standing in the bar, I saw the guy that pushes the chair away.
You know the guy that pushes the chair, the roamer?
Or he starts in the
He's
corner
roaming?
and he roams his way up, and
He's
all of a
working the
sudden when
bar.
he finds the girl he wants to try to talk to, I saw him, and then I saw the swivel butt girl, and I was laughing with him. I was like, oh my gosh, I always saw it before, but now that you talked about it last week,
You
I was
gotta
like,
watch out.
oh, the guy with the Bud Light and the sweater vest. He's making his way. He's making his way. Oh, he scored. Yes, he's there. And then I was like, swivel butt, swivel
It's
butt.
coming,
Yeah.
man, and it's coming.
And then he got the whatever. Then you see him back up, turn, made his other way. I was like, oh, I love this guy.
Well, that guy starts off as the roamer, and then he comes back as the stalker.
Yes, that's what I said to him.
I say he's-
Exactly what I
A
said.
roamer is a stalker
I
in
was like,
training.
yeah, it's
See that
like,
guy?
yeah.
Does he change the sweater vest in between?
He goes to the bathroom and he hits the cologne
Yeah,
button, another
exactly.
button. He
You're
takes
like,
it up a
whoa.
notch. He's hitting the cheeks
Simmer
coming out
down.
of the restroom.
Yeah.
And then the swivel butt, she was working the room,
Yeah,
working
she
that.
was.
She's
She-
beating people up left
Yeah.
and right, left,
Yeah.
right, left, right.
I was like, whoa.
yes, you got to watch out. So
You are right.
what I tell you,
You were right.
what I
Yes.
tell you, don't get on a bar unless you want to talk to people.
Yeah, and it's true. You can't sit at a bar, and if you don't want to talk to people, or you don't want to be approached, or be next to swivel butt and be bumped into, you can't sit at a bar. Go to a coffee shop.
all right.
Yeah, but that's half the fun for sitting at the bar is pointing them out.
Yeah,
But,
but we're just saying if you're going to sit at the bar, don't
Oh,
be that
yeah.
person that sits there like this.
Yeah, don't be in your little cave.
Yeah,
The cocoon.
don't be in your little bubble. You got
I
to
think if the
bop
other
your
people at the
bubble.
bar realize that you're that person, they have every right to have you buy them a drink.
Right.
For having to put up with you.
Or purposely keep sending them the drink to see what happens.
To get them out
yeah.
quick.
We're
Right.
like, either A, this person's going to explode and be the nicest person, or become an ass that's going to get kicked out. Oh.
I told you, the roamer's going to be out big tonight. Football games, high roaming possibilities.
Yes.
Here. Well, that's how it goes down. So next week, where are we going? Where's our next spot? Cannon sounds awesome.
I know. I have a list of about 10. I got to break it down.
I'm going to go down south and go try some chicken wings. That's what
Yeah?
I'm going to do.
Yeah.
I got to. Matt Vanini's endorsed it. I know he's been there a few times. I could drop names. I can drop names and sit next to the swivel butt girl. right. That's how.
Yeah.
Isn't that how it goes though?
Yeah.
That's just it. That's it. So let's talk. End of the day, we got Seattle tonight against 49ers. Matt, predictions. Spread 7.
You know what?
I know you're a gambling man.
You got to go for Seattle. They're coming off just.
I like it.
Flying high.
Oh,
Yeah.
It's unbelievable.
Folks, get your jerseys on and get ready. It's going to be a good day, right?
Yep. Go
All right.
Tigers.
So tonight you're looking for a couple of spots to watch the game. You got downtown, you got the Buckleys. You got the Spectator on Queen Anne. Pesos is doing a huge Seahawks thing tonight. So there's definitely some spots to go. You got 95
Belltown
slides
Pizza.
up on Capitol Hill, Belltown Pizza. So there's spots to go watch the Seahawks game. Well, I tell you this. We're coming down to the end of the show here on the Jopra Show, and it's been a great thing with Matt Vanini. And I tell you, live the dream. What a great line. And if you are thinking of ever getting in business, I tell you, doing what he's talking about is the way to go. Don't you think? It's just
Yeah,
to me,
totally.
it's a no-brainer.
Just to learn the basics and understand it.
And take the
see what
basics
it takes.
take the basics a step further. Is a way to go business-wise. So, go to Restaurant Solutions, log in, hit the demo button. They're going to get back to you, and then let them take you from there because it's what they do, and they're going to save you not just a little bit of the respect, but a lot of money. And I think that's the big point of this whole thing is doing it right so you can make some money and fulfill that dream that you have of opening your own restaurant. So I think that's the overall thought, right?
Yep. The thing to remember, do you mind if I
go
plug
ahead,
the website?
shoot.
The thing to remember about the website, it's restact.net. That's RESTACCT.net.
.net, folks.
We'll take care of you once you're there.
That's where you get down. And, if you drop that you listen to the Jopra show, they're going to give you a discount. So just keep that in mind. That's how we roll it here at the Jopra show.
There we go.
But, Cannon Whiskey Bar, check it out. Lisa endorsed it. It's been Jopra approved. And that's how we do it.
Jopra approved.
That's how we do it here at the Jopra show.
I want one of those.
You want one of those? And so next week, I'm bringing in one of the old chef classics. Her name's Janice Vaughn. She runs a Calamity James. She's been in the business for a long time. We go way back. And it's just time for you guys to hear about Calamity James. There's a lot of fun stuff going down in Georgetown. And she is old school classic cook. She cooks it down like your mama used to cook it. So we're going to have her on the show next week. And then we'll also have a big surprise. We're going to finally find out who's going to be in the wing off. And I'll be announcing I found my tech boys who want to come on the show and tell me why tech boys are not good daters. I found them. I searched them out, and they're going to come on. And I'm surprising Lisa. I'm going to bring back another lady friend of ours, and we're going to just break this down man and woman style. It's going to be coming up in a couple of weeks on the Jopra Show. But listen, last note: check out that Seattle thing. Check out the voting for the education. Get involved with that. Let's make sure we do things right around the city because education is very important, and I back it every which way. My wife's that way. I'm that way. And as a city, we should always have good education. That's one of our number one things. You're listening to the Jopra Show. It's the end of a great week. Thank you. Watch the Seattle game. Go Hawks. And Matt Vanini, Lisa Martin, thank you for being with me today. And the man himself, Eric Ryder, thank you, sir.
Thanks.
Cheers.
All right, guys. Have a great day. And thank you. This is the Jopra Show on 1150 Alternative Talk. Have a good day.